Please be advised that this contains some language which may not be appropriate for all audiences. Hello, everyone.
And welcome back to
The Regular Show Wiki podcast.
Today we have our Halloween special. We will be going through all 19 Terror Tales of the Park stories. If you are unaware, Terror Tales of the Park is the Halloween sub-series for Regular Show. Every year they do a new Halloween special in the same vein as The Simpsons. If you are watching this on YouTube, then you will be able to see that we have a tier list. Before we do that, we're just going to talk about the Terror Tales of the Park series as a whole. What do you guys think of it? Do you like Terror Tales of the Park? What have you got a favorite? Not a favorite story because we'll get onto that, but a favorite just overall special.
the Terror Tales episodes are basically a hit or miss. You could have a good episode of something that's just okay or mediocre at best.
I do enjoy like all of them, and I do enjoy how they kind of go out on the horror themes and stuff. Unlike with something like The Simpsons, where it's Treehouse of Horror specials, it's they could go all out on it. With the regular show, Terror Tales of the Park specials, it could feel like a normal episode, just Halloween based or something. So
one thing I wish that they did, and if anybody happens to be listening to this who secretly has a Regular Show comic license, keep this in mind, because obviously, like we've mentioned, Terror Tales of the Park is literally an homage to Treehouse of Horror. But what The Simpsons used to do was every Halloween, as well as having their Halloween special, they would also have a Treehouse of Horror tie-in comic with that series. And I wish that we got Terror Tales of the Park comics, because it was the one thing when Regular Show ended that that Halloween, it felt weird that we weren't getting a new Regular Show Halloween special, because that was something to look forward to every year. I don't know. I mean, do you guys think there's any chance of there being another Halloween special with the new series?
Most likely, yeah.
it depends on how they air this series. See if it's the Wonderfully Weird World of Gumball, where it's a bunch of episodes at one time. If that's how regular show's gonna be, I feel like there likely wouldn't, unless unless it releases around Halloween time. But if it's gonna be a new episode weekly or 2 episodes weekly, I feel a chance there's a chance that Terror Tales of Park special will air. So
But even then, Close Enough did a similar thing where they had, I think it was Halloween Enough was their Halloween special, but that came out in April.
I don't want the show to just get released on Hulu. Yeah, it just doesn't seem right.
All that releasing it all at once does is create a week's worth of hype, and then everybody forgets about it. And that was the great thing about Regular Show, was it was always consistently new episodes every week. If they released it all at once, I would be very iffy about that. But anyway, does anyone have a favorite Terror Tales special?
I honestly think my favorite special overall has to be either Terror Tales 2 or Terror Tales 5. I don't know. I think Terror Tales 2 is the one I've watched the most out of all the other specials. Terror Tales 5, I know ever since 2019, I've always had this tradition of watching that one specific special on Christmas Eve. I remember Channel 93 in Australia back in 2019 was airing that one special. I went, holy shit, you can get away with this? And ever since then, I don't know. I've just been watching that one episode every Christmas Eve.
It's interesting that you said Christmas Eve, though.
That's the one thing. I don't know why it would be Christmas Eve to be exact, but I don't know. I am nostalgic for regular shows, so that's probably why I'm watching on that day.
Moto Chad, have you got a favorite Terror Tales?
I don't really know. I'd probably say one of the earlier ones, maybe Terror Tales 2, Terror Tales 3, maybe. Terror Tales 1 that is the one I've probably seen the most, so I do like kind of have like a little bit of soft spot for that one. The other two, I just find them fun.
For me, I like Terror Tales 4 for some reason. I remember specifically watching that one for the first time and like, oh, this is really funny. Um, I don't necessarily know that it's the scariest Terror Tales, uh, but I think it's great. And like meeting Muscle Man's mom is a big treat. Now we've got that out of the way with. Let's break down the actual stories. We've got a tier list here that needs to be filled. We will start with Creepy Doll, which is the first Terror Tale story. Where are we ranking this? And I'm going to be rating these based on how scary I think that these stories are.
To be honest, I'd say it's maybe a C tier at best. And the premise of the creepy doll drawing on people's faces, it it just I don't think it's that interesting. There are better stories throughout the entire Terra Tales saga, but I don't think it's the worst one. There are definitely worse stories. So as to why I put it in C tier.
But I don't know. I do enjoy the segment. It's not really one of my favorites. I love how like his like we like deep voice and he's like, I'm gonna draw your face and stuff like that. It's not like the most interesting for me. I think it's because like it's only like 5 minutes long, so like I feel like if it was like stretched out for like if it was like the 11-minute one story, I feel like you could have done some more of that. But yeah, I'd put a B tier maybe.
Yeah, I mean, what you just said about like 5 minute story, I think that's kind of a critique I'm going to have of a lot of these is that, like, I think literally every single Terra Tale story could work as its own as a full length episode if it had more to it. And there's only one story which basically lasts the length of a regular episode. And we'll get onto that soon. But yeah, for me, like I said, I'm basing these on how scary they are. Honestly, the idea of your doll coming to life, I mean, it's an idea that has been done before. This story is very much based on like child's play, which is funny because there's another Terra Tale story which takes a lot of reference from child's play. The more scary bits for me, and I'm thinking like I'm having to put myself in like the mindset of a child. I think it's more so like the whole basement scene. Like it's got a very slow, eerie atmosphere. There's no like dialogue for a while. And then there's some pretty horrific scenes of Percy getting burnt in a furnace. So between B tier and C tier, I have made a list of episodes based on like how scary they are. And that Creepy Doll is on the lower half. So for now, I'm gonna say high C tier. Yeah, what do we think of this placement?
I'd give it a bottom C tier, in my opinion.
I feel like a C tier would. Yeah, I feel like it's good enough. Yeah.
So there's Creepy Doll. That's the first story. Next up, we've got Death Metal Crash Pit. Where are we thinking for this one?
I'd honestly give it a B tier, in my opinion. The saving grace of that particular story has to probably be Muscle Man and High Five Ghost's charisma. Basically, the premise of the Crash Pit as well, being this crazy place where Muscle Man and High Five Ghost can just like wreck cars.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that this is the first time we see the Crash Pit.
I mean, like, it's been conveyed better in other episodes, like Journey to the Bottom of the Crash Pit or Struck by Lightning. I just think this one, it's not too bad. It's pretty decent. Only thing I don't really like about the story is probably the band, like the singing. I'm just not a fan of it.
I mean, I'm for one, I'm waiting for the Skull Punch 2025 tour. It's probably going to be 2026 now.
I'd say a B tier as well. It is like a fun story. I do like ironically enjoy Skull Punch. Like it's a very shitty band, but like it's like laughable bad. Um and I do like Muscle Man trying to get his way out of like van. The only critique I have of it is like it's like again, it's only 5 minutes long, so like it's not really like it doesn't really have like that much in it.
To me, what it seems like one of the more scary bits are for not for the kids, but for me would be like the fact that Muscle Man is trapped inside it. Like if you deal with if you're claustrophobic, then being in Muscle Man's situation would not help you at all. But the fact that like there's that scene where he's banging on the window and he's like help help, and then he's like this music sucks. And it's like yeah, that's Muscle Man's main priority is to get them to stop singing and not to free himself from almost certain death. Like so, those are the more scary bits for me. For me, I think it's um just as scary as Creepy Doll, but you guys are both giving it B tier, so I'm happy to have it there.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Okay, now we have the absolute mammoth that is in the house.
That's an S tier, hands down. It's an instant classic. I think one of the main highlights of this one story is probably the fight scene with all the characters in Rigby, like inside Rigby, but that Rigby's house, and they're all just getting attacked by the wizard. And I really find it funny how the wizard just wants to get revenge on Rigby because he egged his house. And then towards the end of the episode, you have him egging Rigby. It's just funny, man.
Well, I do really enjoy this segment. It's probably like my favorite out of like the free and like the first Terror Tales episode. I do like love the fight scene. I love how like gruesome like it can be, like with like Muscle Man like getting like skinned and stuff. And it is a very funny one. I love the ending where it's just like the wizard just egging Rigby, like that's why he just wanted to do this. Um, I might put an S tier though, but I'm not sure. It's either A or S tier. But if you want to put an S tier, that's good.
It will be staying in S tier because I mean, for me, going through them, seeing literally what's scary and what's not, this without a doubt was like the most scariest by a landslide. They somehow found the most horrific ways to kill off every character. Um, like Muscle Man gets literally skinned alive. Pops literally like vanishes into thin air.
And Benson vomits as well.
Yeah, Benson vomits gumballs. You've got Skips getting burnt alive. Mordecai gets decapitated. High Five Ghost literally gets sprayed over Skips and Mordecai. I think S tier is absolutely where it belongs. Oh, and you've also got the whole trick or treat scene where Mordecai's dressed up as a dad to try and scam people to get more candy. So S tier, is that a good place? Are we all happy with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. So now we will move on to Terror Tales 2 with our first story, Payback.
I gotta say, honestly, it is a pretty good story, but I'd say it's not as good as In the House. I give it an S tier. It's really funny. I think it's mainly how Mordecai constantly gets haunted by Uncle Steve. And Uncle Steve's not trying to haunt him or anything. He's just trying to get some money back, I'm pretty sure. It's just so funny as well. Reason why I don't consider it to be as good as In the House is mainly because it's a short length story. It only goes for 5 minutes, and that would be it.
Well, I do think it is like a funny one. But again, it's like it's like as you said, it's only 3 minutes long, so there's not even really like you could like do in that much time. And I mean, to be honest, though, like they do try to do like as much as they can within that time. And again, it is like good, but I feel like if it was longer, it would probably I would probably like it more. But I think my maybe a B tier.
I mean, for me, this, especially for a short story, this is about like halfway through my list of like scariest to least scary. Um, I mean, anyone above the age of like 12 would probably not find it that scary. Um, but there's a few things like just the dead stare that Uncle Steve gives can be pretty. creepy. I do think if this was maxed out to like 11 minutes, then it could make for a great like piece of horror fiction with just this dead uncle just like standing in the corner. The way that he kind of just like very lazily like struts along the ground as he's like chasing Mordecai and Rigby. That it's like that always gets a laugh out of me. I feel conflicted, so I'm gonna say A tier to be the middle ground.
I guess that's fine.
Yeah, I guess so.
There's not really a lot to say about the shorter stories because there's just not as much there. Next up, we've got Party Bus.
I'd probably give it a C tier, in my opinion. I'd say it's above Creepy Doll. It is better, but I think my main issue with the story is just probably how it's kind of boring, in my opinion. It has a it takes a while for the story to actually start. Because with Creepy Doll, at least it gets things over and done um with introducing the actual character Percy. But with Party Bus, it takes like a minute and a half, I think, to get things going. But also one of the main things that I kind of don't really find interesting is mainly Mordecai and Rigby as babies.
It's an alright one. It's got some moments here and there, but like not a whole lot actually happens in it for me. Like I don't really have like that much to say about it. It's an alright one, but that's really it. I'd say C tier as well.
Yeah, I mean, Party Bus ends up being one of the least scariest for me. There's a few scenes which are a bit disturbing, like that scene where Mordecai like quickly pushes like the emergency brake and all the ashes of all the dead people just suddenly get flung all over like Rigby, Margaret, and Eileen, and Rigby's got them like in his mouth, and that's just like really disturbing to see.
But that's practically the only thing that's disturbing about the episode. There's nothing else much. It's like what Mordo Chad said, that there is nothing about this episode other than the fact that it's not really as scary as the other stories.
But there's also with what you were saying about like the babies, I think it just gets disturbing with the fact that they literally turn into like fetuses at the end. And it's like, oh, they are literally just de-aging into the point of just not existing. There's like some creepy stuff. It's a lot of just like specific close-ups of just like seeing people just like really old, but looking like really ugly while they're old. I think it's fine. For me, I would put it in B tier, but I'm happy to have it in C tier because both you guys have put it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so now the final story of Terror Tales of the Park 2, we've got Wallpaper Man.
I'd say it's Nest here. It just goes with this really crazy premise of a wallpaper man just being a creepy weirdo. The other thing about it is probably how it also shows how Mordecai and Rigby are completely just lazy and stupid.
It's probably gotta be like my favorite in Terror Tales 2. Um, I think since like it is much longer and it's slightly less than like 11 minutes. It means like they can do like more in like more time. So and like I love how like Jan the Wallpaper Man like becomes like an actual like spider and stuff. Maybe an S, maybe an S or an A. So
Well, I'm going to keep it in S tier. This being scary or not, I think purely depends on if you're scared of spiders or not. Me personally, I'm not, but I can imagine someone with arachnophobia would be like very much opposed to watching this one. But for me, the more like scariest parts are the chase scene where all the wallpaper has like rearranged the house. That's like, imagine just waking up one day and seeing your entire house has been rearranged and you don't know where you're going, and it could just change at any second. Um, I think that's really creepy and really well done. Also, the fact that Muscle Man is somehow ordered like military grenades off TV. So we'll move on to Terror Tales of the Park 3. where we have got our first story, Killer Bed. Where are we thinking for this one?
I'd probably give it a B tier. I'd honestly say it's below Death Metal Crash Pit, in my opinion. I mean, like, it's a decent story, but I don't think it's the best one ever in the entire Terra Tale saga. And then again, I'm not going to say the reason why is because of runtime over and over again. Basically, how short the character development is in the entire story.
I think it might actually be an A tier. It's just like a really like fun one to me. Like my favorite part of the episode is like literally the ending where Benson like just hires him, but then like the next day they actually just like fucking kill him. So, like I think like the pacing there, like I feel like that like works well. I think this is like one of the few times where I feel like a shorter story like actually works.
One thing I will say about this one, this story really does feel like it's told by Rigby. I think the reason why like them killing Johnny Allen Wrench at the end is so funny is because it's so out of character. But because Rigby's telling it, you can get away with that. So yeah, it is really funny. For me, I'm gonna put this back into B tier because for me, I would say C tier because I don't think it's scary at all. This was like the least scariest one on my list. Other than the thought of like, oh, you could be sleeping on a killer. That's kind of a scary thought, but like it doesn't really there's not really any horror elements to this story, but it is definitely funny. Is everyone happy with it being in B tier?
I'd say that's fine. Yeah.
Ah, yeah, sure.
So next up, we've got Jacked Up Jack O' Lantern. Where are we thinking for this one?
It's not really my favorite story. I wouldn't say it's the worst, but it's just a weak story overall, and it's forgettable in my opinion. I'd say it's a D tier. I mean, like, I have no issue with the premise of the story, but out of all the stories in the Turtle Saga, I feel like that one is overshadowed by other better, more cohesive stories.
There are like a few funny moments here and there, and but I don't really think it's the greatest. There's not really too much to it. It does kind of have like a good like horror like element to it with like like everyone like turning into pumpkins and stuff. But and like that's really it. I'd say maybe C tierish.
I'm gonna keep it in C tier. I would have rated it a lot higher purely for like the horror element. I think the only thing is, and this is a bad criticism to have of something for regular show because it is a comedy, but that a lot of the time it does feel like it would be so much scary without the weird puns that the scarecrow says
Like You Smashed My Wife and stuff like that.
right before he smashes everyone. He just like gives like a weird thing, like, "Oh, now it's time to meet your pumpkin." And I feel like again, it could be terrifying if it was just this big pumpkin scarecrow walking around, turning people into pumpkins and just destroying them silently. I also think it would have been scarier, but I get you can't do that because it's a kid show and you have to, even though this isn't canonical, you still have to give some sort of like resolution. But the fact that you see everyone as pumpkins at the end, I think it can be seen as creepy, but I think it would have been a lot darker. I mean, I'm happy to have it in C tier if both you guys are.
Yeah.
I guess, probably.
I think it's a fine story. It's just it's very much there's a lot better. So yeah, now we will move on to the previous owner. Where are we thinking for this one?
I'd give it like a C or D tier. I remember all the quotes that Jebediah Townhouse just usually recites, but they're just corny. But still, it has a pretty decent premise where Mordecai, Rigby, Muscle Man, and Pops and High Five Ghost have to stay in a haunted house. I'd probably give it a C.
Oh well, I actually kind of had some fun with the episode. I do like Jebediah Townhouse. It's like um this guy who's like both ahead of his time and yet behind. All the characters like pointing out how he just doesn't really like like talk like how we would now. I don't know, I think it has some funny moments with Jebediah Townhouse. So maybe a B tier, but like maybe an A tier as well. But I'm leaning more to like the B tier, like a high B.
There are a lot of great horror sequences in this. Again, it's a more comedic one. The fact that Jebediah Townhouse is just like saying that all these 80s slang phrases, and everyone's like, dude, nobody talks like that anymore. I think that's great. And also the fact that like Mordecai literally like he is ready to kill himself at the end. Like he just jumps off Jebediah Townhouse because he can't stand him. But no, there's a lot of great horror sequences, like the scene where Pops is in his room and Jebediah Townhouse starts speaking to him through like the gramophone. Just that one. Whenever I think of this story, I think of the shot of the giant Jebediah Townhouse face with a bunch of smaller Jebediah Townhouse faces, like inside his eye sockets, and they're just spinning round. That's nightmare fuel if I've ever seen it. I mean, I feel like it should go into maybe lower B tier because there are a lot of funny things and there are a lot of horror things. Yeah, we'll move on to Terror Tales of the Park 4 with we'll start with The Hole.
The Hole's generally a pretty good story. I'd give it a B tier, like high B tier. One of the benefits of the story is basically the whole premise of one of the characters being sacrificed once every year. And it's just funny how Pops can't seem to fit in the hole. And there's this one scene where Benson just starts kicking Pops's head so he could try and fit. I know the end is pretty wholesome in my opinion, where all the characters enjoy tea. Also, the part where Mordecai keeps calling Rigby Uranus.
I mean, I said earlier about Terror Tales 4 being my favorite because I thought it was so funny, and it was this story specifically because of a whole Uranus gag that I thought was hilarious.
I like how like Pops just like gives like this like wee speech about how we shouldn't like sacrifice themselves to the hole, and then Benson's just like, Pops, I think I speak for yourself when I say get in the hole. Like I thought that was funny, and like Pops not like Pops just huge head just like just sticking out of the hole. I thought that was funny. Again, the Uranus jokes I thought were kind of funny. I'd say B tier.
Like I said, it's so funny, but to focus on the more like scary aspects of it, I don't know how much other than subtext, like outright scary things there are, other than like some creepy imagery of like when you see High Five Ghost Skeleton, like but like when you see that like pop out of the hole and then like they literally kick Thomas's like skull off of his body. So there's some pretty creepy imagery there. But like even though I'm like focusing on the scary bits, I'm not gonna put it in D tier. I'm happy for it to stay where it is right now in B tier.
Yeah, I'd still say keep it in B tier.
Yeah, B tier's good.
So we'll move on to the next story. Unfinished business. Where are we putting this one?
I basically give it an A tier, in my opinion. It's one of the more wackier stories. I do think it is slightly better than Payback, and one of the reasons as to why would probably be because of Benson just constantly getting scared by Mordecai and Rigby. It's just super scary, but super funny at the same time.
Well, I really like how the story like actually opens up with like Benson being all like Mordecai and Reggie are dead. Like that's such a way to open up a story.
It's such a way to open up a funeral.
Yeah, Benson like he doesn't even like talk about like Mordecai and Rigby like themselves and just like rather like not really haunting the house and stuff.
It's very much like an unwritten rule that at a funeral, when you're talking, you don't talk about the way they died, but that's all Benson talks about.
Yeah. Um. I also like how it is more like a scarier one. I do kind of like the ending with like Benson like being the one who actually died, and like I love the fact how he's just like freaking out over like Mordecai and Rigby and stuff. But I don't know. I wouldn't say it's the best. I'd say maybe um Because of how funny it is, I would put him B tier. So,
Well, I'm going to keep it in A tier. For me, this would be an S tier story. It's just really funny. The funniest scene is Benson's death scene, where he falls down the stairs because it just comes out of nowhere. Mordecai just very quickly is like, Benson, look at this mask. And then Benson just falls down the stairs. As far as like how scary it is, I don't know. Uh, I just don't find it that scary personally, but I can see how people would. There is a lot of there's a lot of nightmare fuel.
I keep it in A tier as well.
well, for how funny it is, yeah.
Well, we will move on to the final story of Terror Tales 4, Scary Movie Night.
I give it a D tier. It's probably the worst one in my opinion. And I wouldn't like say it's god awful. It's just underwhelming in my opinion. I don't know. I just didn't really enjoy it that much. I was expecting for something actually crazy, but the story was kind of creepy as well, but not in like a funny creepy way or investive creepy way. It's just so weird in my opinion. You have so many scenes where I think there was an anime girl. It's just very weirdish, creepy in my opinion.
I like the story, but I do like how there's like multiple like different horror themes to the episodes, not just like one. So like it could be like a wee bit more creative with it. It's got some funny moments, but I wouldn't say it's like the best one. I'd say maybe C tier-ish, maybe.
Well, I'm very conflicted now because to me, this is another S tier one. I just think it's so creepy, especially the scenes where they're in the like the institution. I love how everything just suddenly it turns into like a noir film and it's all just black and white. And it just like the whole atmosphere is just very eerie and it's creepy and everything. And I absolutely get why this wasn't in the UK. The thing with like the Japanese scary girl, that's something like that creeps me out now. Where is a balanced place to put this?
I'm more of a, like being like higher. I'd say maybe like a B is like the highest I'd give it.
I'm happy to put it at like a high C.
I don't think C tier is that bad of a placement.
Yeah, yeah, high C tier. That's good.
Okay, well now we will move on to Terror Tales of Part 5, where we have got Mr. Bossman.
I'd give it an A tier, in my opinion. It's like one of those funny Benson-centered stories. The saving grace of the story is basically Mr. Bossman himself. He's just not only a creepy character, but he's also funny. The doll is portrayed better compared to that of Creepy Doll.
I think it's a decent one. Mr. Bossman, is a funny character. For how creepy it is, I put him B tier.
I don't think it's that scary. I think there are scary scenes, like the fact that like when Benson's bashing his head with the door, he's still like fully conscious and fully aware of his surroundings. I find parts of it funny, especially with like the salad guillotine guy on the TV. I would put it personally in C tier, but I'm happy to have it in B tier.
Because that's fun.
Uh, yeah, I'd say that.
Next up, we have got WerePops. Where are we thinking for this one?
Honestly, it's kind of funny. I think one of the major highlights is where everyone decided to basically say, oh, Pops is basically guilty of all the charges instead of John Wolfhard. Yeah, I would say C would be the best ranking.
I like how obvious it actually is. Like he like committed the crime and stuff. I don't know. I just like enjoy it. Like I enjoy like how like everyone like at the end of the episode like they literally chase Pops down with like weapons and stuff. I'd say C tier maybe.
Yeah, I mean, this is just like such a fun story. The fact you've both put it in C tier, honestly, I put it in A tier, but because you've both put it in C, I'm going to keep it in C. I'm just going to move it to higher C. Yeah, I just think it's so funny. Um, I love This is the only Terror Tales story where they got a licensed song in there. They got Werewolves of London.
Yeah, I do like that song. It's a pretty good song.
As far as how scary it isn't that scary, I don't think. It is very funny. The more scary scenes would more so probably just be everything in the bathroom. But that's only for like a very young audience, I think. It's great. I love it. I've got nothing bad to say, but I'm happy to keep it in C tier. So now we will move on to going up. Where are we thinking for this one?
I'm not a fan of the story. I put it at the bottom of D tier, like the last ranking. It's not a story that I like. It's just boring, in my opinion. It's kind of a little creepy as well. There are some scenes that I kind of don't like. For example, the whole, like, the ending scene. It's just so abrupt, but also just, it's not really that great as well.
I don't know. There's not really like that much like in the segment. I'd say maybe a low C tier. There's just nothing really like in it. Like it's not bad. It's the only like actual other like High Five Ghost themed episode other than the postcard. So
Well, for that reason specifically, and I've literally got a High Five Ghost plush like sitting next to me right now. Because I thought, because it's the Halloween special, I'll put a ghost next to me. But because it's a High Five Ghost thing, for me, this would immediately beat everything. Okay, it wouldn't go quite that high, but it would go like A tier for me. I'm going to stick it in high C tier right now, above WerePops. Again, it's circumstantial. It depends on like if you're claustrophobic, you might find it really terrifying being trapped in an elevator and then that elevator starts just going crazy. But it's just that one the scene at the end, the elevator repairman turns into a zombie, his ear like starts just like shaking. Like nothing else shakes but just his ear, and that's just really creepy and gruesome. And then High Five goes like just dies in an explosion. Um, I can definitely see why this wouldn't be up there as like one of the greats. Um, I really like it, but I'm happy to keep it in C tier. Um, as for staying in C tier, do you think that works?
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah.
Okay, well now we have got the final story of Terror Tales of the Park 5. We've got Chocolatude.
I put it in B tier. I think it's a solid story. It has some highlights, but then again, I think it suffers from the runtime overall. It's very short, but it still has some highlights, as I said earlier. Primarily, basically one scene where Rigby stole all the chocolate as well, and he also turned into chocolate along with Mordecai. I think that's pretty cool as well. It's just creepy as hell.
I think maybe a B tier. It's a really fun one for me. Or well, yeah, I'd say a fun one. Um, it's not the scariest segment ever, but like it's kind of scary.
B tier. This is just one of those episodes where like random lines of dialogue will just randomly pop into my head. Like a lot of like the stuff that like the witch says like plays around in my head. Like the oh how like a zombie eats his brother, like that'll randomly pop into my head for no reason. Um, to me, the creepiest and like the scariest part of this, it's just the way that when Rigby turns to chocolate and everyone's eating him, he just smiles, and that is just so ominous and creepy. And I really just like, yeah, it's really dark, and I really like it. Are we happy with the placement?
Yeah, Chocolatude is a B tier.
Yeah.
So yeah, now we are moving on to the final Terror Tales of the Park, starting with Fear Planet. Where are we thinking for this one?
I'd honestly give it a D tier, but I do think it is better than going up. It has its highlights, then again, like Benson trying to get the fuel before he's eaten up by sharks. But yeah, it's kind of underwhelming, and it does have a creepy vibe as well, but I'm honestly not a fan of it. It doesn't really stick out to me. It's kind of wacky, but it's also something that I kind of don't think blends well with the story. If Skips had another fear, like something more threatening or dangerous, it could have actually been a pretty solid story overall. Like, same for other characters as well.
I think maybe C or B tier. I do kind of like the idea of like a place where fears like come to life and stuff, and I love Skepsis fear. It's just like freestyling disc things. I think that's like the funniest thing about it. So maybe mid C tier.
I mean, I kind of agree with that placement. It's I don't find it that scary, really. On my list, it was mid to low. Some of the creepy parts are maybe just like the atmosphere of like Mordecai walking to the gas station, which I love that it's just like a pop-up thing. Like it's this big barren empty planet, and then there's just like this big like gas tank in the middle. Like the scene of him walking there is like incredibly like eerie. Um but to me it's just like the shot of like when we first see the amusement park mascot and Mordecai's just staring at it and it's got its eyes just like peering out. That's like really creepy to me. But also it's like I don't know, it feels very trivial. Like a lot of what this story achieves is like giving you answers as to, oh, what are these characters' greatest fears? But yeah, are you happy to keep this?
That's fine.
Yeah, sure.
Next we have got king size candy bars. Where are we thinking for this one?
I put it in B tier, to be honest. It's not a bad story. I think mainly the reason why is because it just has a solid premise and it just runs with it. But here, the stakes are actually raised, and I do think it's pretty cool as well. You see the guys fighting for their life as they're getting hunted down by vampires. It's not really my thing. If it ended with Rigby and the guys just swarmed and then it fades to black, it would have actually been kind of thought provoking and pretty cool as well.
It wasn't like the funniest one ever, nor was it really the scariest. Maybe again C tier ish. It has some funny moments, but like I don't really like think it's like the funniest one ever. It's not like so unfunny or anything, but like it's there are funnier ones out there.
In terms of scary things, I think there are some scenes where like isolated they would be scary, but a lot of it is like surrounded by humor, which could kind of take away from the scary element. I mean, you've got vampires in here. I don't think it's all that scary. I think it's just more it's got a very gothic vibe, which I think maybe could be scary in itself, but I don't know necessarily. I'd also put it in C tier, so we could say like a high C tier if that works.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, now for the final story of Terror Tales of the Park 6 and the final story of Terror Tales of the Park, we have got Alien Roommate. So where are we thinking for this one?
I give it a high B tier. I think it's pretty decent as a story. Then again, it doesn't do what King Size Candy Bars did, which was like have an ending where everything's completely fine. It actually benefited from telling a brutal story with Muscle Man having to sacrifice himself to save the park um, from Shannon. There's another highlight with Carter and Briggs being reintroduced once again. The story is completely unpredictable as well, even if you rewatch it, in my opinion. There are tons of scenes that stick out to me, like how Shannon is basically crazy for TV and basically tries to annihilate everyone.
Uh, maybe a B. It's probably like I'd say it's like the funniest one of the bunch. Kind of like the alien like references and stuff in it. It's not the greatest Terror Tales of the Park special ever, but It's solid, you know.
So I would give the story an A. I just think, it is very funny. It's not generally all that scary, but like the end when Shannon is like doing that very slow evil laugh as she's like her acid has melted the wires to like get her kicked out. But the funny thing is mostly about this story, the fact that overall she's not actually that much of a threat. She's just a squatter. She's like squatting in the park and they just want her gone. She only becomes like a more physical threat when they start trying to get rid of her. And I think that's really funny. And especially like the way that Rigby is just like, no, now we'll be stuck with her forever. It really just like, yeah, they've got their priorities straight. It doesn't matter that like they killed Chance Sure Shot or Recap Robot. Um, they have to live with her, which that's the bigger problem. I'd be happy to put this in a high B if that works.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. I think it's a solid placement.
Yeah, I think a high B is the best place for it.
But yeah, so there we are. I mean, those are our results. For anybody who is not watching and is listening, I will go through the results now. In C tier, from worst to best, we have got Jacked Up Jack-O-Lantern, Fear Planet, Creepy Doll, Party Bus, Scary Movie Night, King Size Candy Bars, WerePops, Going Up. In B tier, from worst to best, we have got The Previous Owner, Killer Bed, Death Metal Crash Pit, Mr. Bossman, Chocolatude, Alien Roommate, and The Hole. In A tier, we have got Unfinished Business and Payback. And in S tier, we've got Wallpaper Man and In the House. So yeah, how are we feeling about this tier list?
Yeah, I'm completely fine. I think it's generally a pretty good tier list.
Well, I was honestly kind of surprised to be honest. I was like expecting like some things to be like a wee bit lower and like some things to be like a wee bit higher, but like I'm honestly like glad with this. So like I think this is like a perfect enough ranking.
Well, yeah, so that's our tier list. And now we will move on to some regular show news. So we do actually have some regular show news. This is not about the new series, but this is about YouTooz, which is like a figure vinyl company similar to like Funko. A few weeks back, there was an AMA on the YouTooz subreddit where it was basically confirmed that there's going to be regular show YouTooz figures and plushies coming up literally like within the next few months.
Well, I am personally really excited about this. We finally get like something like we finally get new regular show merchandise for like the first time in years. So, you know,
I can't say much about them since I'm not really a huge regular show merchandise fan.
It's really cool because I remember a few years back there was like these rumors of more regular show Funko Pops coming out, which never happened. Um, but yeah, like what characters do you think were obviously we're going to get Mordecai and Rigby, but do you think they'll expand beyond just those two?
well, I feel like with the original set, like well, there were like the main characters, but like there wasn't really like pops or anything, but like at the same time though, I don't really think there's like anyone else they could really like do. Maybe like Margaret or something, but um most of the other characters in regular show, like they're not really like that memorable for like just like regular fans to know. Characters like Mordecai, Rigby, Benson, stuff like,
I imagine, I mean, Mordecai and Rigby are definite. I would hope we're going to get the rest of the main cast. But yeah, I do feel like Margaret would be. I don't know how well it would sell, but it would definitely be an easy one to do because you just really have to just recolor Mordecai. We should be getting that soon, and it's great to see that merchandise is creeping back up beyond the Hot Topic exclusives. but some of those are really weird. Like, I don't know if you've seen the Regular Show lip balm.
What?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm sharing it on screen share right now.
What the hell is that?
Why is this a thing?
It's one of the new things that they've started selling at Hot Topic. Yeah, it's very cursed.
Most definitely.
But also, there's other new things. There's a new T-shirt. There's new bracelets, pins. If that's your thing. For the YouTooz, though, that's I'm very excited, and I will be getting that day one. So yeah, that's about it now for this podcast. Thank you everyone for listening or watching if you're on YouTube. Hopefully, our next episode will be a Christmas special at some point in December. That's pretty much everything. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Oh, well, goodbye, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the podcast or watching if you're viewing it on YouTube. And I'll see you next time.